Thinking Aloud. Conversations on the leading edge of knowledge and discovery with parapsychologist Jeffrey Mishlove.
Hello and welcome. I'm Jeffrey Mishlove. Today, I'd like to talk about the locus of control. And really, this is a very important monologue because it has to do with your success in life, actually. Now, it starts out with a very basic finding that, to my knowledge, has been confirmed many times within the field of psychology about a parameter called locus of control. That means, where do you believe control of your life exists? What is the location of that control? Is it within you, or is it somewhere outside? And the research, to my knowledge, is rather clear that people who consider themselves successful also believe that the locus of control is within them. People who are struggling with life, who consider themselves unsuccessful, and may well be unsuccessful by outside standards, they believe that they don't have control, that they are the victim of circumstances. Now, many of you notice that I'm always laughing and smiling during these monologues, and some people think it can't be real. I mean, how is this guy so happy? He's putting on an act. And I have to tell you, I was not always this way. There were times when people thought of me as a very serious person. I think there were times when, if you had asked me, I would have characterized myself as tense and anguished. But you know, I'm in my 70s at this point, and I can look back and say I must have done something right somewhere along the line, because I'm living the life of my dreams. I'm doing right at this moment, and this is what I do pretty much every day, what I'm most passionate about. I'm following my bliss, as Joseph Campbell would say, and I'm surrounded by supportive people in a beautiful environment, and I have good health. And I'm living a comfortable life. So yes, I'm very happy. And the truth is, for many, many years, if you had asked me, I would probably say I'm the happiest person I know. But it didn't happen automatically. I wasn't always that way. There was a time in my life when I was very distraught. I'll give you, in fact, more than one time. I'm going to give you two examples. On one occasion, when I was just in graduate school in Berkeley, in my second year of graduate school there, I became the head of a program I had written a grant for. The grant got funded by the university chancellor, and I was the director of the health information program on the Berkeley campus. And I lived in a special house provided by the chancellor to run this program in, and we had a board of directors and other people, and I got into a conflict with other people I was working with, and the conflict actually became violent. I look back on it now. I mean, I had boiling hot water thrown on me. I had knives thrown at me. I had these people saying they wanted to kill me. And then when I went to the board of directors to explain what was going on, they said, well, the simplest thing to do was get rid of everybody. So I was kicked out of the program that I was the head of, that for which I had written the grant. And for a long time, all I could think about was how unfair it was, how I had become the victim of circumstances, and how these terrible people, all I was trying to do was confront them about their dishonesty, and then they got violent with me. And so I was blaming them, you see. Now, in retrospect, from the perspective of nearly 5 decades, I could look back and laugh at all of this. But at the time, it seemed very serious to me. And if you had talked to any of my friends or colleagues back then, they would have told you I was insufferable because it was all I could talk about. And it was blame, blame, blame. I finally got over it after a few months. In fact, it was as a result of that situation ending that I began to open up and develop my own career in the media, which is really, looking back now, I can say that's on track. That's the purpose, the mission of my life. And then another event happened. I got involved because I was in the media. I found a way to create an individual interdisciplinary doctoral program at Berkeley, and worked on that program for 6 years. Maybe even 7, as I recall. Finally, after much struggle, much opposition within the university, I got my doctoral degree in parapsychology. To this day, a unique degree. I'm proud of it. I have the only doctoral diploma that says parapsychology, to my knowledge, anywhere in the world. And which is not to disparage the hundreds of other people who do wonderful doctoral research on topics related to parapsychology and who have degrees in more conventional disciplines, philosophy, education, psychology. In my case, not only was, because of my unique degree, made me virtually unhirable in academia, which had been my ambition, but then I got libeled. And I had to fight a libel suit for the next 6 years. And if you had talked to me during that very dark period of my life, I would have said, I'm a victim. I got libeled. It's preventing me from fulfilling my destiny, fulfilling my dreams, being the person I want to be. And it literally took me 6 years fighting that libel suit to overcome it. When I finally settled the libel suit favorably, it enabled me to buy some real estate in California, which that one purchase is probably the single significant basis for the small fortune I now enjoy. But it also gave me the confidence to set up the original Thinking Aloud television series. Some of you may not know that I had a national public television series that ran from 1986 to 2002. And many of those videos from the original Thinking Aloud TV are on a separate YouTube channel. But that's another story. My point is, I know how hard it is to let go of blame, to feeling yourself a victim. It took me years to overcome it. And if somebody had come along like me today and said, get off of it, you don't need to do that, I don't know if I would have been capable of it. And I say that now because I know that there are those of you who comment on the videos and who watch these videos, who post notices telling me that you feel victimized. You're victimized. Very often I hear it, it's the elite. The elite people are controlling your life. And some of you are more specific. It's the elite Jesuits. It's the elite Freemasons. It's the elite Jews. It's, whoever it is for you. And I'm here to tell you that you will do so much better when you can regain the locus of control and find it within yourself. You don't have to be the victim of outside circumstances. And I think one of the finest examples of this is exemplified by a book I finished reading recently called The Choice by Dr. Edith Ava Agar. Now, Dr. Agar, I hope to have her as a guest on this program. I don't know if it will happen, is well into her 90s. She was at Auschwitz. She came to Auschwitz as a teenager. Her parents were murdered by the Nazis in Auschwitz. She suffered unimaginable hardships, was left for dead with broken bones, and had to recover and rebuild her life. And it didn't happen overnight. It wasn't easy. But today, she's still functioning as a working psychologist. She seems like a healthy, happy person. She had to overcome unspeakable trauma And she writes in this book, actually, about forgiving Hitler. Now, she didn't do it for Hitler's sake, and she certainly didn't transcend all of the horrors that she lived through. They're still part of who she is and part of her memory. But she realized that every step along the way, no matter how much she was victimized, and I can tell you she was victimized as much as any living human being probably has ever been victimized, or right up there as close as you can get, far more than anyone that I know personally has been victimized. But her message is you always have a choice. There are always some decisions that you can make for yourself. They may be small, they may seem insignificant, but they are under your control. You are never a total victim. Even if you are being tortured slowly, you can control, to some degree, to even a small degree, your state of mind. I've talked before on, I'm going to link to it, an InPresence monologue in which I mentioned that it just takes a tiny shift of consciousness to enter into a different mindset. It can be done. It's actually, to make a tiny change is not too hard. But particularly for those of you who feel that you don't have control over your life, I want to suggest to you to look for the little changes that you can make, to pay attention to the choices that you do have rather than the choices that you imagine you don't have. And I don't mean to suggest that it's all in your imagination either. For sure, it's not all in your imagination. It wasn't in my imagination when people threw boiling hot water on me or knives at me and said they intended to kill me. That was very real. But I'll tell you something, I found an incredible resource within myself. I was in my bed sleeping at the time, and I stood up bare naked as these people had entered my bedroom and expressed an intent to kill me. And somehow I found within myself the spirit. I think of it as the spirit of Jesus Christ, as a matter of fact. I just looked at them with a look of total innocence and peace, and they ran away. And we all have those inner resources, those unbelievable inner resources available to us. So let me close by asking you, where do you feel that your life is out of your control, that you are the victim of circumstances? And what choices are you still able to make in spite of that imprisoning circumstance? Thank you for being with me.